Amina hurried through the marketplace, her hands filled with fresh vegetables and spices wrapped in cloth. The town was alive with chatter and the scent of warm bread, and she loved every bit of it. She was known by many in the town for her warm smile and her willingness to lend a helping hand, whether to her neighbors or strangers passing through. On this particular morning, as she walked down the narrow, sunlit street, she saw a man sitting by the side of a small shop, his figure partially shadowed by the building. His presence was calm and dignified, despite the visible wear on his old, wooden wheelchair. The wheels creaked slightly as he adjusted his position, his gaze focused on something in the distance. Something about his expression caught her attention, a deep calm, a sense of quiet strength, yet tinged with something else, sadness, perhaps? Amina couldn't shake the feeling. She found herself slowing her pace, drawn to the mysterious man. She noticed how passers-by occasionally offered him glances, some with pity, others with curiosity, but most barely noticing him. His clothes were simple, yet they were neat and clean, and his posture, though seated, suggested a quiet dignity. She hadn't seen him in town before, yet he looked as though he belonged here. She felt an inexplicable urge to approach him. "Good morning," she said warmly, her eyes kind and genuine. The man looked up, his dark eyes meeting hers, and he gave a small nod. "Good morning," he replied, his voice deep and steady. He was taken aback by her smile, a smile that didn't hold pity or curiosity, but simple kindness. It was something he hadn't encountered in a long time. "I don't think I've seen you around here before." "Are you new to the town?" she asked, her tone gentle, as if not to intrude. "I've been here for some time now," he replied, a hint of a smile touching his lips. "My name is Musa." "Amina," she introduced herself, her smile widening. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Musa." They exchanged a few more pleasantries, and as they talked, she noticed something about him, a sharp intelligence, a wisdom that seemed to go beyond his years. There was a way he held himself, with a sense of confidence, even though he was bound to a wheelchair. After a while, Amina felt as if she'd known him for much longer than a few minutes. They talked about the town, the weather, the market, and she found herself wanting to know more about him. Days passed, and Amina found herself looking forward to her trips to the market, where she would often find Musa in the same spot, his quiet presence a comforting contrast to the bustling energy around him. Each time they spoke, she felt herself drawn further into his world, a world that seemed so different yet so familiar. Musa spoke about the world in a way that fascinated her, as though he'd seen many places and experienced many things, yet he never spoke about himself. One day, as they were talking, Amina noticed Musa's hands, how they were calloused, as if from hard work, yet his nails were neatly kept, his knuckles strong. She wondered about his life, what he did, how he came to be in a wheelchair. But she didn't want to pry. She sensed that Musa was a private man, one who valued his independence and dignity. But something had changed for Musa as well. He had grown accustomed to Amina's visits, looking forward to their conversations. Her laughter was light, filling the air around them, and her kindness was as effortless as a breeze. She treated him with a respect that he wasn't used to, a respect that made him feel seen and valued. On a cool, quiet afternoon, Amina brought a small parcel of sweets from the market. She handed it to Musa with a shy smile. "I thought you might like this. They're from the bakery down the street," she said. Musa looked at the gift, surprised. "Thank you, Amina, that's very thoughtful of you." He accepted it, feeling an unfamiliar warmth in his chest. As they shared the sweets, their laughter drew glances from those passing by, surprised to see the two sharing such genuine joy. Amina asked him about his family, his life, curious about the man who had become a part of her daily routine. Musa paused, considering her question. "My family lives far from here," he said finally. "They are good people, but we haven't been in contact for a long time." He looked away for a moment, his expression turning somber. "Life has a way of separating people, I suppose." Amina sensed the sadness in his words, but she didn't press. Instead, she placed her hand gently on his, offering silent support. He looked down at her hand, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. Days turned into weeks, and their friendship deepened. Amina's affection for Musa grew as she learned more about his gentle heart, his quiet resilience. She admired his strength, the way he carried himself despite his disability. She didn't see his wheelchair when she looked at him anymore, she saw only a man with a kind heart and a depth of spirit. One afternoon, a small crowd gathered in the town square. A group of wealthy merchants had arrived, their presence drawing attention. They were men dressed in fine clothing, surrounded by attendants, exuding an air of authority. Amina watched from a distance, curious but uninterested in their business. To her surprise, one of the merchants glanced over, his gaze settling on Musa. The merchant's expression shifted from one of aloofness to surprise. He whispered something to his companion, his eyes wide as he took in the sight of Musa. Amina noticed the exchange, but thought little of it, assuming it was mere coincidence. But Musa noticed too. He sighed, his gaze lowering. There was a story in his eyes, one that he hadn't shared, one that he kept buried. Amina, Musa said softly, his voice breaking her train of thought. There's something I haven't told you. She turned to him, her expression attentive and kind. You can tell me anything, Musa. Musa hesitated, his fingers tracing the edge of his wheelchair. I wasn't always like this, living here, keeping to myself. He paused, collecting his thoughts. I used to be part of something bigger. My family, they are wealthy, very wealthy. I left that life behind, for reasons that are complicated. Amina listened, her heart beating faster. She had no idea. Musa had always seemed so grounded, so unaffected by the material things around him. To hear that he came from wealth was a surprise, but it didn't change how she felt about him. She cared for him, not his past or his possessions. I left it behind because I needed to find myself, he continued, his eyes distant. I needed to understand who I was beyond my family's expectations, beyond the wealth and power. This life, as simple as it is, has given me peace. Amina smiled, her gaze soft. I think that's very brave, Musa. To walk away from everything you knew to find your own path, that's not easy. Musa looked at her, his heart swelling with gratitude. No one had ever understood him this way before, and he felt a depth of connection that he had never imagined. In that moment, he realized that he had fallen for her kindness, her strength, and the way she saw beyond his wheelchair, beyond his past. As the days went on, Amina and Musa's connection deepened. They spent hours talking, laughing, and sharing stories of their lives. Amina was captivated by Musa's wisdom, the way he saw the world. She admired his resilience, his independence, and the strength he showed in facing life's challenges. But in the back of her mind, Amina couldn't help but feel a growing sense of protectiveness. She knew that the people around them still saw Musa as different, a man with limitations. She wished she could shield him from the stares, from the whispers, but she knew that Musa didn't want pity. He wanted to be seen as a man, not a man in a wheelchair. One evening, as they walked together under the stars, Amina turned to him, her heart racing. Musa, I don't care about your past or your family's wealth. I see you for who you are, a kind, brave, and wonderful man. That's all that matters to me. Musa looked at her, his eyes filled with gratitude and something deeper, something he had kept hidden. In that moment, he realized that Amina was not just a friend to him, she was the one person who had shown him true acceptance, who had seen his heart beyond his physical limitations. As the night sky stretched above them, they sat in silence, words unspoken but feelings understood. In that stillness, their hearts connected in a way that transcended words. The days grew warmer, and the town buzzed with the excitement of an upcoming festival. Every year, the festival brought together people from different villages, filled with music, dance, and laughter. It was a celebration of unity, and for Amina, it was also an opportunity to spend more time with Musa. She looked forward to seeing him amid the lively atmosphere, imagining the warmth of his smile as they shared in the festivities. On the first day of the festival, Amina arrived early to help decorate the town square, adorning it with strings of colorful cloth and handmade lanterns that swayed gently in the breeze. As she worked, she spotted Musa, who had come to watch the preparations. He sat by the edge of the square, observing with quiet admiration as the town transformed with vibrant colors. Amina smiled and approached him, her eyes lighting up. "You came early." Musa's face softened as he looked at her, his voice warm. "I didn't want to miss the excitement." She felt a flutter in her chest at his words. She could sense that Musa was beginning to open up, to let her in, just as she had hoped. "Let me help you get a better view," she said, taking hold of his wheelchair. With his permission, she rolled him to a spot with a better view of the stage, where musicians were tuning their instruments. As they settled into their spot, Amina glanced at him, noting the calm expression on his face. "Musa, you brought so much to my life," she whispered, almost to herself. He looked at her, his eyes filled with an intensity that left her breathless. In that moment, she knew she felt more for him than just friendship. Her heart raced as she realized just how deep her feelings had become. They spent the day together, laughing and enjoying the festivities. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the lanterns lit up, casting a warm glow over the town square, Amina reached out, taking Musa's hand in hers. Musa's fingers tightened around hers, and for a moment, it felt as though the world had faded, leaving only the two of them under the soft glow of the lanterns. Days after the festival, Amina's life took an unexpected turn. One evening, as she was heading home, she overheard a conversation between two merchants in the marketplace. They were speaking about a wealthy man in the town who had left his influential family to live a simpler life. "It's amazing, isn't it? He chose to leave behind all that wealth," one of them remarked, shaking his head. The other nodded. "But I heard he's found happiness here, away from the expectations and pressures of his family. Sometimes, freedom is worth more than gold." Amina's heart skipped a beat as the realization washed over her. They were talking about Musa. Her heart swelled with pride and admiration for the man she'd grown to care for. His wealth didn't change how she felt about him, but it deepened her respect for his decision to live life on his terms. The next time she saw Musa, she brought up what she had overheard, hoping he would open up to her. "Musa," she began carefully, "I heard something about you, that you left a life of wealth to come here. Is it true?" Musa's eyes met hers, and for a moment, he hesitated. But seeing the sincerity in her gaze, he took a deep breath and nodded. "Yes, it's true. My family is well known, but that life wasn't for me. I left everything behind to find peace, to live a life of simplicity where I could be myself." Amina placed her hand on his. "You don't have to explain anything to me. I respect you even more for choosing your own path. It takes courage to leave behind what most people would want and to live for yourself." Her words touched Musa deeply, and for the first time, he felt truly seen and understood. In that moment, he realized that Amina wasn't just someone he cared for, she was the person who had seen through all the layers, the one who looked beyond his wheelchair and into his heart. As their connection grew, so did the attention they received from the townspeople. Word spread quickly about Musa's background, and soon everyone knew about the wealthy man who had chosen a modest life among them. At first, many townsfolk approached him out of curiosity, wanting to hear his story or to gain his favor, but Musa kept his distance, remaining humble and private. Amina, too, noticed the shift. Some people whispered about her behind her back, commenting on how lucky she was to have caught the eye of a wealthy man. Yet she paid no mind to the gossip, her focus always on Musa. She loved him for the person he was, not for his wealth or his family name. One afternoon, as they were sitting together under a large tree by the river, Musa brought up the topic that had been weighing on his mind. "Amina," he began, his voice hesitant. "I've been thinking about us. About the life I want to build with you." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "I know my background has caused some talk, but I want you to know that none of it matters. You are the one who matters to me." Amina's heart skipped a beat. She looked at him, her eyes shining. "Musa, I never cared about your wealth or your family name. I care about the person you are, the man with the kind heart who treats everyone with respect. I fell for the man who shared his dreams with me, who showed me his world." Hearing her words, Musa felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. He knew, without a doubt, that he had found someone who loved him unconditionally. As the months passed, Musa's feelings for Amina grew stronger. He knew he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. One quiet evening, he gathered the courage to tell her how he felt. He met her in the town square, under the same lanterns where they had shared their first moments together. Holding her hands in his, Musa looked deeply into her eyes. "Amina, you have shown me a love I never thought I would find. You've accepted me, not just for who I am now, but for the man I hope to become. I love you, and I want to spend my life with you." Amina's eyes filled with tears of happiness as she nodded. "I love you too, Musa. I can't imagine my life without you." With the blessings of the town and their loved ones, Musa and Amina's relationship blossomed. They promised to build a life together, one filled with love, understanding, and resilience. After their engagement, Musa and Amina's bond only grew stronger. They were soon the heart of the town, celebrated as an inspiring example of love that transcended appearances, wealth, and adversity. Their love story became a cherished tale, whispered about in admiration by townspeople young and old. Yet, the couple stayed humble, focused on the life they wanted to build together rather than the attention they received. Musa and Amina chose to settle in the town rather than seek the luxury Musa had left behind. He wanted a life filled with the simple joys he'd come to cherish, watching the sunrise over the fields, sharing warm meals with Amina, and feeling connected to the earth and the people around him. Amina admired Musa's grounded nature and knew this was where they were meant to be. They started a modest business together, a small market stall where Musa sold his handcrafted goods, each item carefully carved with the skill he had honed since he was a young boy. Amina, with her talent for textiles, created vibrant fabrics and colorful garments that quickly became popular. Their shop was a true blend of their talents and personalities, representing the life they had built side by side. Not long after their marriage, Musa fell seriously ill. His health had always been a fragile aspect of his life, but this time the illness felt different. He grew weaker, his spirit often dimmed by pain and fatigue. Amina was at his side constantly, caring for him with all the love and dedication in her heart. Despite the new trials they faced, Amina's strength never wavered. She became not only Musa's wife, but his greatest supporter, encouraging him through his darkest moments. Some days, he doubted his ability to recover, feeling like he was a burden to the woman who had chosen to love him, despite all odds. But Amina never let him feel like a burden. She reminded him each day of his worth, his strength, and the impact he had on her life. As Musa lay in bed one evening, he looked at Amina with tears in his eyes. "I never imagined anyone would love me the way you do," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You've given me a life I didn't think I deserved." Amina took his hand in hers, her own eyes shining with unshed tears. "You deserve all of this, Musa, and so much more. You taught me the true meaning of love, of strength, and of resilience. You're not alone in this, I am with you, always." Her words became a healing balm for Musa. Despite the hardship, he found strength in their love and support, and over time, he began to recover. The experience deepened their bond and reminded them both of the preciousness of life and love. As time passed, Musa and Amina's lives flourished. With Musa's health stabilized, they decided to expand their family. Their love had already been a gift, but now they wanted to share it with a child. It was a dream that had grown quietly between them, each too timid to bring it up until now. Their joy was indescribable when they welcomed a daughter into the world, a little girl they named Zara. Zara inherited her mother's spirit and her father's resilience, bringing even more warmth and light into their lives. She grew up in the embrace of her parents' love and the stories of their journey, a living testament to the power of love that transcends appearances. Musa took special care to teach Zara about empathy, resilience, and the importance of accepting people as they are. Amina taught her daughter the beauty of creativity and kindness, encouraging Zara to explore the world with an open heart. The small town became Zara's playground, and she grew up surrounded by the love of her parents and the admiration of their community. As Musa and Amina grew older, their love remained as vibrant and steadfast as ever. The townspeople often marveled at how their bond had endured despite the many challenges they'd face. Their shop had grown over the years, evolving into a bustling center of crafts that drew visitors from nearby villages. Musa's talent for woodworking and Amina's skill with textiles became well known, a testament to their shared dreams and hard work. On their 25th wedding anniversary, the town threw a celebration for them. Friends and family gathered to honor the couple whose love had touched so many lives. Musa, now a silver-haired man with gentle wrinkles etched from years of laughter and love, stood with Amina by his side, hand in hand. They were surrounded by friends and family, including their beloved daughter Zara, who had grown into a woman of strength and kindness, much like her parents. As the evening unfolded, Musa looked at Amina with the same love he'd felt the first time he'd met her in the marketplace. Taking her hands, he said, "Amina, you gave me a life I never dreamed of. Every moment has been a gift because of you." Amina smiled, her eyes brimming with happy tears. "Musa, you showed me the kind of love that transforms. I wouldn't change a single moment of our journey together." Their story, one of resilience, acceptance, and love beyond appearance or wealth, became a cherished tale in the town. Their lives had been a testament to the belief that true love knows no boundaries. It was a legacy they passed down to Zara, along with all the villagers who had been inspired by their journey. Years later, after Musa and Amina had both passed on, their love story continued to be told, cherished by the community and remembered as a beautiful tale of hope, resilience, and love that transcends all obstacles. Years passed, and Zara grew up in the warmth of her parents' story, deeply inspired by their resilience and love. Now a young woman, she carried their legacy with pride. Having watched her parents create a life based on acceptance, integrity, and empathy, Zara had become known for her kindness and wisdom, much like her parents. She had also inherited her mother's creativity and her father's talent for woodworking, blending these gifts into her own unique artistic style. Though she was young, Zara faced her own challenges. Life in a small town could be predictable, and she often wondered if she would ever find a love as true and inspiring as the one her parents shared. She questioned whether anyone could ever match the depth of understanding and commitment that had defined Musa and Amina's bond. One day, while selling her handcrafted art in a nearby town's market, Zara met a man named Tund, a talented musician with a spirit as free as the wind. Tund was a traveler, someone who had seen the world beyond the hills and valleys surrounding Zara's small town. With his easygoing nature and infectious laugh, he captured Zara's attention immediately. Though their lives were different, Zara found herself drawn to Tund's openness and his tales of adventure. The two began spending time together, sharing stories of their families and their dreams. Tund was captivated by Zara's passion for her art and her deep-rooted connection to her parents' legacy. Likewise, Zara admired Tund's curiosity and the way he embraced life's unpredictability. When it was her turn to speak, Zara shared her own story of love, of how she had felt the pressure of her parents' legacy, and how Tund had shown her that love could be found in unexpected places, and didn't need to mimic the past to be genuine. "My parents taught me that love is as much about courage as it is about connection. And today, my husband and I are living proof of that legacy," she said, her voice strong and filled with pride. Her words resonated with the crowd, and a ripple of applause filled the square. Her children looked up at her with wonder, understanding for the first time the depth of the legacy they had inherited. As their friendship blossomed into something deeper, Zara found herself battling an unexpected wave of doubt. She wondered if her relationship with Tund could ever measure up to the love her parents shared. Growing up surrounded by a story that had inspired so many, she feared that any love she found might pale in comparison. The memory of her parents' bond was both a blessing and a burden, leaving her uncertain about how to navigate her own love story. Sensing her hesitation, Tund reassured Zara. He explained that love is unique to each person and doesn't need to replicate the past to be meaningful. "Your parents' love is their own story, Zara. We can create our own path, just as beautiful, if we embrace it for what it is," he told her gently. His words reminded Zara that love could be as flexible and transformative as she allowed it to be. Encouraged by Tund's wisdom, Zara gradually let go of her comparisons and fears. she realized that her parents' love had given her a foundation, but her journey would have its own rhythm and lessons. With this newfound perspective, Zara opened her heart fully to Tund, embracing the adventure of building a life together. In time, they married and settled in the village, honoring both of their unique stories. Together, they continued her parents' legacy of love, compassion, and community involvement, carving their own unique story in the hearts of the villagers. Zara continued to create art inspired by the strength of her family, while Tund filled the air with music that reminded the townspeople of the joy of life. They had built a family, welcoming two beautiful children, Kalu and Layla, into their world. Like their parents, Kalu and Layla grew up surrounded by stories of courage, love, and resilience. Zara often shared the story of how her grandfather, Musa, had overcome his challenges to build a life with Amina. For Zara, this story wasn't just her history, it was a legacy that taught her children to embrace life's unexpected turns with faith and courage. As the years went on, Zara and Tund became pillars in their community, much like her parents had been. Zara continued her mother's work, teaching young girls and boys in the village to appreciate the beauty and strength within themselves. Through her art classes and storytelling, she helped children understand that love and kindness were the true measures of strength. In honor of Musa and Amina, the villagers organized an annual festival to celebrate love in all its forms. At this festival, the townspeople shared stories of loved ones, old and new. They remembered Musa, who had shown them the power of a determined spirit, and Amina, who had embraced love without reservation. Zara felt honored that her family's story had left such a profound mark on the community. One quiet afternoon, Zara received a visitor at her workshop, a young man from a neighboring village who introduced himself as Samuel. Samuel had traveled far to find Zara, having heard the story of her parents. He explained that he was writing a book about true love and resilience, inspired by the tales he'd heard about Musa and Amina's journey. Listening to him, Zara felt a deep warmth and pride. Her parents' story would reach even more hearts, a testament to their strength and love. Samuel asked if he could include stories from her life as well, and with Tund's encouragement, she agreed, happy to share how she had carried her parents' legacy forward and shaped her own. On the evening of the next festival, Zara and Tund held hands as they walked to the village square, Kalu and Layla by their sides. A large bonfire burned brightly, and laughter and music filled the air. Standing in the crowd, Zara felt the presence of her parents, as if they were there, watching over her. When it was her turn to speak, Zara shared her own story of love, of how she had felt the pressure of her parents' legacy, and how Tund had shown her that love could be found in unexpected places, and didn't need to mimic the past to be genuine. My parents taught me that love is as much about courage as it is about connection. And today, my husband and I are living proof of that legacy, she said, her voice strong and filled with pride. Her words resonated with the crowd, and a ripple of applause filled the square. Her children looked up at her with wonder, understanding for the first time the depth of the legacy they had inherited. As Zara's family returned home that night, they felt a renewed sense of unity and purpose. Their story, much like that of Musa and Amina, had become woven into the lives of everyone around them. Over time, Kalu and Layla would continue to carry their family's tale forward, inspired by the love that had shaped their lives for generations. In the years that followed, Musa and Amina's love story was passed down through generations, a legend that grew richer with each retelling. The town remained a testament to their strength and to the power of love to change lives and bring hope, no matter the obstacles.